nice outside day, but rather chilly inside day. We'll have to keep moving. We have 5 nice entries here today in the fudge contest. We have 3 different classes. One is plain, one is with nuts, and one is layered. And so we have 3 different divisions. One of the things that I talk about each time I'm here is to make sure to read the directions carefully when you're making an entry and follow those directions. When we have candy entered just in open class judging, we ask for 6 pieces. But when it comes to the contest here, they're to have 12. And so in this case, we have 2 that did not meet the criteria of the 12 pieces, but I am going to place them even though they only have the 6 rather than the 12. But make sure when you're making an entry that you check the directions for that particular contest so that you have that done according to criteria. Our first class over here, we have just plain chocolate ones without any topping. These here are just a little bit dry, probably. You can't hear me, is that better?
I can.
Okay. These are a little bit dry, probably were cooked just a little bit too long, so they kind of dried out a little bit. We like to have a piece of fudge that if you take your fingers and just take a tiny piece and put it between your fingers, you can make a nice little ball without it sticking to you or without it crumbling. And so that was what I was doing over here when I would take a tiny piece and put it between my fingers. You can also then feel whether or not the sugar is dissolved or if you can feel any crystals in it. So those are 2 reasons to try and test it with your fingers. In this class then, we will have 2 placings, and we will have, I've got to make sure that I say exactly what I had said to them, yes. We'll have a second place on these that have the 12 pieces, and I will go ahead and place these a third, even though they do not have the 12 pieces that were asked for in the directions. So a second and a third in the plain. We have 1 entry in the ones that have a nut, and often talk about display, eye appeal. And if you notice, this person really carried that through. Not only do they have the pecan pieces on top, but they also carry it through in the tray that they presented it in. And we know that we have 2 eyes. We see it before we touch it. We see it before we taste it. And so those are things to kind of keep in mind, not only for entry at the fair, but when you're presenting food to your family, friends, company. Eye appeal does have an effect on how we feel about food. This one not only has a nice presentation, but we also have a nice texture and a wonderful flavor for the fudge. And on this one, then in this class, we'll have a first place. In our third group, we have layered, and so we have 2 different kinds. We have one that is called Harry Potter fudge, and is very nicely presented, has a very nice consistency, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 instead of 12. And so I had to keep that in mind when I was looking at that. Over here we have candy corn fudge, and it does present itself as candy corn with the 3 layers of different colors, just as you have on the candy corn, which is sitting on the top. And again, presentation, they put it on a nice Halloween pumpkin kind of plate to just kind of catch your eye and make you think, oh yes, it is that time of year, isn't it? Again, testing for the consistency as well as the flavor. Both of these started out very similar in that they have evaporated milk and then they have marshmallow cream. So the flavor starts out the same, but by adding other ingredients, they then make it taste just a little different. This is a rather large batch in that you use a 9 by 13 pan, and so you'd be able to keep a lot of friends happy. This is a smaller batch, as most of them are, in just an 8-ounce or 8-inch pan. So here in this class of the layered, we'll have a first and we'll have a third because of having 6 pieces instead of 12. And in most contests, and as Deb had stated, I'm going back way back when I say Pat, aren't I? I'm not sure. We have always, in a contest, we have a top one, and we have 2 first places that we can make a determination between whether or not which one is going to be first place. And as I look carefully at the tops of those, you'll notice how smooth these are presented in their layered when they're putting them in the pan. We have a little bit of unevenness here, just smoothing out carefully. One of those little picky things when you're in a contest, you have to look for the little tiny details. I really appreciate the equality of the layers in the one with the candy corn display, but I am going to put first place on this one here with the pecans. Okay, thank you for participating. Tell your friend about the contest and encourage more to enter. We need.
So get that. After all that, they didn't let us eat the fudge. Apparently they're just gonna put it on display. Okay, first place, sure. What about the losers who brought 6 pieces? Why don't you let us eat that fudge?